Okay, so I wanted to do a reading on something a little different here. There was a case where this young man, or not young man, I think he was, actually, who he was is not as important. He was a person, he has special needs, and he was drowning, but that's not necessarily the important part of the story. The part of the story that's most important is he wandered off and he was in a lake and fell into the lake and was struggling to resurface. And he could not swim. And there were three people off to the side who were filming him struggle. And as a result of that, adjustment, they filmed him struggling. And he ultimately died because he drowned. And they stood on the bank while they filmed him struggling to resurface. And basically made fun of him because he couldn't swim and he was drowning. And then, it caught national attention and people dogged him out or dogged those people out because you sat there and you not just watched a man drown, but you made fun of him while he drowned. So then the topic of conversation changed from what they did was horrible to is what they did against the law. And it's not, because the Lord may say you are your brother's keeper, but the law does not say that. If you have not taken the Hippocratic Oath, then you have absolutely no obligation to help a person in need. It would be nice if you did, but you have no obligation to do so. So they could legally stand there and watch a man drown. Now, drowning and trying to save people from water is a whole different thing. We have a law here in Florida that was passed just this year that if you ignore, because the Gulf is right here. People come, they vacation, they go in the water, the riptide can take them out and drown them in seconds. So if you ignore the red flags, so they have a flag system. If they put up a red flag, that means the tide or the rip current is dangerous. Beware if they put up a double or triple red flag. It means you cannot whatsoever put your foot in that water at all. If you ignore the red flags and someone comes out to save you, because they ultimately will have to, because people underestimate the power of natural water. So if you go out there and you try to save someone and you end up drowning in an attempt to save them during them ignoring the red flag, they will be charged with manslaughter because they shouldn't have been out there and you drowned. So we have that law here now, that if someone tries to save you while you ignore the red flag, you will be charged with manslaughter. So, will this sort of case pick up that law or adopt that sort of system? Because now what has happened, there is this culture that, and I despise it, but some people find it entertaining, to where they show, and all I've ever seen is black people, and it is heartening, but it shows people fighting each other, like brawls in the street. And so they stand around, they film it because to them it's entertaining, whatever. So they are filming these people fighting, and this young man gets stabbed. And so they film it, right? So they got the crime caught on tape. They're filming it. They're filming this fight. This young man gets stabbed. He goes to the ground and bleeds to death. Meanwhile, they're still standing around filming this. Nobody called 911. No one got him any help. He bled to death because he got stabbed during this altercation. So, back to people who stood around and filmed the man drowning, and the people who stood around and filmed this young man bleeding to death on the ground. Will they ever adopt a system like we have here in Florida? But that's a little different because this is you ignoring the signs of the red flags and all that type of stuff. But will this sort of stand by and watch thing have any consequence? Because, like I said, if you have not taken the Hippocratic Oath to help those in need, you are not your brother's keeper. You do not have to do anything. So it would be nice if you did, but the law is not going to make you. Because what if you don't know what you're doing, and so forth and so forth. Law is the first card we get. Tower is in the outcome. So let's take a look. It's a bit complicated than yes and no, so let's see what we get. There's the laws. Queen of Swords. Chariots. So something will move forward with this. Interesting. I wonder what kind of law, though, because like I said, you can't force anybody to help anybody else. You just can't. Because, there's always this fear of what if I try to and then I get hurt in the process, like the drowning man. You go out to help someone drowning and in their panic, they can pull you under too. So that's why we got that thing here in Florida. If they die trying to help you, you get charged with manslaughter. But this is different. This is you standing around while a person suffers or while a person is literally on the brink of death and you didn't do anything. So, where I'm moving forward with the law, though. New perspective. The Hangman. Interesting. 5 of Swords. 7 of Swords. So this is a strategy. Knight of Cups. Yeah, I feel as though this will have some lip service, basically. So we'll come out and we'll say, in light of recent events, this and this and this, and we're passing an ordinance that if you are within such and such parameters of this, and it'll be one of those things that has a lot of lingo that we don't really quite understand, but it's really just pretty on the outside. It doesn't enforce anything. Ace of Pentacles. There could be a fine as well, $500, something like that. Ace of Cups. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're talking about here. But you have to prove that I was in a position to help them. Because if you have a telephone that you are recording someone, you can call 911 even if you have no service on your phone. Emergency calls always work. You may not be able to call who you want, but you can dial emergency service. Yeah, fear. Strength, enforcement, basically. Lovers in the hopes. So you hope that this will be sort of kick off the my brother's keeper type of thing, but it's just hard to enforce such a thing. Because in the drowning case, they literally sat on the bank and laughed and joked that he was drowning because they found it funny. And in this case, this thing happens all the time to where you get these people, I won't be insulting, these people who think it's fun to fight in the streets because they can't resolve their conflicts any other way. And then next thing you know, someone's standing around filming it. And as a result of them filming it, they post it all over the internet on all these little different websites that sort of cater to this type of thing. But this in particular case, this man got stabbed and they filmed him bleeding to death. So you would think at some point something's going to change. But like I said, there is a law that they can pass, but it's more lip service than it is anything. The fear is enforcement. You can have a fine and they'll threaten you with something else that's new, but it's really not much they can do because you cannot force me to help anybody. You just can't. Page of Pentacles. So this is more, like I said, it's more of a fine thing, but this is I feel youth on this for some reason. What's behind it? Two of Cups. Maybe it's just the young man that sort of kicks this thing off, because this will become a bigger story naturally. Six of Swords in the warning, transitioning into something else if such a thing is imposed. It may sound harsh, but you can't force anybody to take care of anybody else. Even dialing 911. Like, okay, for instance, like I worked in a retail store. And the environment that the store is in is less than nice, we'll say that. And this man, or I won't say man, this boy, men don't behave in such ways. This boy was beating up his girlfriend. And everybody outside came inside to tell me that I should call 911 because he's out here beating up this girl. I didn't see him beat her up, but I'm pretty sure he did because everybody was outside saying he did. I'm like, ain't nobody else out there call 911? I'm like, so here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not calling 911. Why am I not calling 911? Because this is not the first time it's happened. First off. Second of all, both of them are high. Third of all, she's going to go right back to him tomorrow, which she did. And fourth of all, nobody else thought to call 911. You came in to tell me to do it. And then both of them came into the store together and just started shopping like nothing happened. I'm like, okay, then why am I getting in the middle of this? Now, in reality, somebody should have called 911. Because maybe all she really needs is for somebody to let her know that she is worth more than being punched around by some drug addict. But if that's what you want, that's what you want. She seems to not mind it, so who am I to get in your business? So if I'm walking down the street and I see something, I should say something, I should notify somebody, but who's going to force me to do such a thing? You can't force people to care. And I sort of got into this, what's the word? It's not despondent, but like, pardon the expression, but same shit, different day. That's kind of what it felt like. That's why I was not in some hurry to go call the police. And mind you, I've worked at this store for 3 years, and every time we call the police, they come out, they do nothing. So it was one of those things to where, yeah, I did have some despondency. Like, why? What's the point? They'll come out, they'll talk to this one, they'll talk to that one, they'll drive off, and then they'll walk off. It's happened before, it'll happen again, I don't really care. It's like this melancholy just sort of comes over you, and you just don't care. And although that is not watching a person die, it is watching a person suffer. But if you can't change the situation, then I'm not getting involved. Your solace, Four of Pentacles. It's still something about, it's a fine thing. That's pretty much all they can do. But the execution will not go well. This will be a bad idea altogether. So this will all be for naught. Because it seems like something should change, but they can't force you to be your brother's keeper. They just can't. No one could force me to call 911. Nobody else thought to call 911. It's just one of them things where it's a shame. That's what it's called. It's a shame. No one really cares. Not like you think they might. And the sad part is, these people filming, what if they're in that situation? Wouldn't they want some help? So no one can force you. But what changes? Anything or nothing? Message. Message. Future. Deliverance. So messages, messages, messages. This is messages. This is something being uncovered. This is for the future. This is messages and messages. So the rhetoric will change, but that's about it. It's still up to you. You still in your own conscious and subconscious have to figure out what it is you're going to do. Do you care enough to get involved? Do you not care because you become sort of complacent in the whole, this is just same stuff, different day? What happens now? We shall see.